everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the Mondo Batman the Animated Series Clayface. Not only that, but this is the Mondo exclusive with the extra accessories. This is a 1/6 scale figure, which means it's about 12 inches tall, and I don't typically collect that scale. I'm into 6 and 7 inch action figures, but Clayface is my favorite Batman villain, and he could be any sort of shape and size, so I thought it'd be really cool to have a 12-inch version of Clayface to go along with my 6 and 7 inch action figures. So let's take a look at the packaging, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at the front of the box here. It is just Clayface, large and charged, and covered up the entire thing. So the front here, Clayface all over the place. At the bottom, Mondo DC. This is the Mondo exclusive version. There is the front of the box. At the top, it says Clayface. And it's sort of like his whole body wrapping around the package, which is pretty damn cool. The side says Clayface, 1/6 scale figure. The other side, pretty much the exact same thing. At the back, Batman the Animated Series, some of the credits as to who worked on this figure. At the bottom, more credits, and there is a barcode, if that helps anybody. So this is my first Mondo figure. I hear really good things about them, but it's just not a scale I collect. Window box packaging. You can hear the Velcro as I open it up. And on the inside, there is Clayface, all wrapped up. Can't wait to open him up. On the other side, we have Batman trapped in his belly. So with no further ado, let's open him up and check him out. Alright, now that we've got this figure out of the package, here he is with all the accessories laid out, and boy does he come with a ton of stuff. We've got 6 alternate hands, totaling 8 interchangeable regular hands. We have 8 different weaponized hand attachments. We have a total of 5 different Clayface heads. We have the sort of makeup or formula from Dogged Industries. We have a large puddle to attach his head and move around to the floor. We have a large display stand. We have Batman coming out of his stomach and a grab launcher to come out of his head. So decked out with accessories. Before taking a look at all that, let's talk about and check out this figure. So this is Clayface from Batman the Animated Series. And what a fantastic episode and character that is. So Clayface is my favorite Batman villain for numerous reasons, and the Batman the Animated Series episode Feet of Clay is a huge one of them. That episode sort of took the original Basil Karlo Clayface, which was an actor that had no powers and just wore clay masks killing people, and Matt Hagen, which was the second Clayface and actually got his powers by swimming underwater, finding a treasure chest, and drinking a potion out of it, and becoming Clayface. Animated Series kind of merged the two of them together. We have Matt Hagen, who's an actor. His face gets disfigured. He has this formula to allow him to sort of manipulate his face, and then he ends up getting a whole bunch poured on him and becomes Clayface. It's a sympathetic, sad, depressing episode, and makes for a really cool Batman villain voiced by Ron Perlman. Now I must say, I have mixed feelings on this figure already. His body is very rubbery, very squishy, and I don't really like that. I don't like that on regular figures, much less a big deluxe figure like him. I wish it was hard plastic, but we'll see. I'm not even really worried about it like disintegrating over time. I just don't like the way it feels and how it's squishy and hollow and that sort of stuff. But I'll show you guys that shortly. So let's take a closer look at him. And upon a first glance, he looks fantastic, and I mean, he does look fantastic. So his head looks amazing. He looks animated. He has the sort of messed up looking teeth, the yellow eyes. It looks great. All the sort of clay coming up. Typical articulation, a little bit darker on the inside there. And then his body. It's like layers and layers of mud or pancakes, and it looks awesome. His torso sort of layered on top of the piece down there, and it looks pretty good, but there's a little bit of disconnect. Some of the extra stuff hanging off there. Now this is what I don't like. He just has this feel to him. Very rubbery. And look at that. I mean, it's very squishy. Now, I feel like for a figure like this, we shouldn't have got that. You can kind of hear where it clicks and ratchets into place. That'll help you hold some articulation because this guy's very heavy. Once again, his arm, it's very squishy. And if you were to, I don't know, bend his elbow, it just looks kind of weird and warped. This part here is a lot harder. It doesn't really squish in, but it's still made of that rubbery type material. And if you're moving him around, you can see that sort of big gap there in his back. That looks awful. I mean, when he's standing up normally, you won't see it. But, you know, just look at that. It doesn't look good. And then his legs here, he has kind of harder plastic legs. That's how I wish the whole figure was done. Normal articulation on the knees, all that good stuff. I mean, it looks fantastic. I just really don't like the way that feels. If any of you guys have the McFarlane DC Multiverse movie Mr. Terrific figure, and his jacket was kind of squishy, this is just like that, only way more to the extreme. But he does look great. I'm not going to lie at all about that. Fantastic looking figure, fantastic feel and presence, fantastic size. But I have issues with the material of his torso, stomach, and his arms, and the way his arms are articulated. It just can look kind of bad pretty easily. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. It looks right off the screen of Batman the Animated Series. The teeth, the eyes, the shape of the head, everything. So, I'm definitely not going to say it's inaccurate by any stretch of imagination. It looks fantastic. And then here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories. And let's start off with the display stand. So here's his display stand. It comes in two separate pieces. When put together, it looks like this. We have the large oval base with the Batman symbol. And then it has this post, which you attach yourself. And as a top, it has these little sort of clamps made of metal. And they have some give them, outstretch, put your guy in there, and bam, they'll hold him in place. Now, he sure doesn't need a stand to stand up. He stands up just fine, but this is probably extra security if you have him on the shelf. You don't want a big, large figure falling and breaking. Now let's look at his hands. He has a total of 8 hands, at least his regular hands. He also has a bunch of weaponized attachments. 4 left hands and 4 right hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And I'm really not feeling this rubber body. I mean, look, I had to sort of extend his arm. It's all like sort of bunched up there. It looks like crap. There may be better ways to sort of pose his arm and mess around with that, but... And here's his second pair of hands. This is a pair of gripping hands. Then his next pair of hands. These are some open hands. Look like they could be some sort of clawing or grabbing or attacking hands. And his last pair of hands. These ones are a little bit more open, but still like they could be some clawing, grabbing, or throwing hands. Now let's check out his heads. He has a total of 5 of them. One has a normal expression, one has a screaming expression, one has a smiling expression, one has Batman ripping out of his head, and then one actually looks like Batman. Here's Clayface with his first head. This one has the most normal expression. Here's his second head. This one has the screaming expression. And then his third head. This one has the smiling, sinister expression. Here's his fourth head. This one has the sort of explosion at the top of his head when Batman is trying to grapple his way out of Clayface's body. And on camera here, as well as in photos, the color on his head looks way darker than the color on his body, but it's not nearly as bad in person as it is on camera. So in addition to having this head, you also have a little accessory for it, which is Batman's grapple launcher coming out of Clayface's head. It has a little area at the bottom where it's going to sort of peg into there. And if you peg in this grapple launcher, it looks like Clayface is in pain. Batman is about to rip his way through his body. And here's his fifth and final head. This one actually looks like Batman. And this one's a little bit more noticeable as far as being darker compared to the lighter body. And then the neck part here just doesn't sit flush. Almost looks like it's not even meant to be for this guy, but I can't really push down any further. I mean, I can push the front down, but then the back's sticking up. I can push the back up, and the front's not really flush. I don't know, it's like this head almost looks like it wasn't even fitted in properly. Next we have this little container. This is a small container of face cream by John Daggett Industries. This is what Matt Hagen put onto his face so we can manipulate it and not look disfigured. Opens up, nothing's inside, but I can definitely imagine that little bit of face cream or makeup. Here's Clayface holding on to that little canister. Next, we have all these weaponized attachments for his hands. We have a sort of crab-like claw, an axe, a big spike, 2 giant sort of boulders, a sort of hook, spike ball, and some claws. A lot of options here. Here's Clayface with both the crab claw and then his sort of metal claws. And then here with both an axe and spiked hand. Next, with his 2 sort of stone or boulder hands. And his final 2 weapon hands, this large hook and then spiked ball. He also comes with this accessory. This is Batman when Clayface sucked him inside, and I'm sure everybody remembers that part of the episode. It was so cool. And he's trying to sort of claw or climb his way out. It's going to attach to the front of his sort of chest area. So take Clayface, puff his chest out, and then put Batman on there. It attaches magnetically. But once again, you can see both the head and the Batman piece have a little bit of a darker clay than the rubbery body. And his final accessory, this is a big puddle of mud that you can attach his head to. Like he's just sort of melted onto the ground and he's moving around, slithering away. It's really just a big sort of mud pile, or a big sort of poop pile. It's got a little peg here for his head, flat at the bottom. It actually kind of shows you which direction it's supposed to be facing. And you can have one of your heads on Clayface, another one here, and almost get yourself 2 Clayface figures. Here's a look at Clayface's head attached to that little puddle. Not exactly flush, I can see a gap there. And you can imagine him just sort of slithering away. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. So he's a 1/6 scale figure, which means a 6-foot man would be about 12 inches tall. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing about 14 inches tall, which can translate to about 35.5 centimeters. He's 14 inches tall because Clayface is a big, oversized character, larger than a general man. And now, for his articulation. So, starting with his head, he can rotate side to side. He can look up and down, not a lot, but a little bit. Can sort of tilt his head from side to side. Shoulders, a ball joint. You can hear how ratchet it is. And as much as I don't like that sound, it actually is very helpful because this guy is so heavy, it's nice to sort of lock everything in place. Up, down. You can go all the way up and all the way back down. Now his elbows, this is something I don't like, and I know I've mentioned that at least twice in this video. When they go up, it just sort of folds that rubber, and it doesn't look very good. I mean, sure, he's Clayface, he can look really any way he wants, but I don't think he would ever want to look like that. There is no rotation here. The rotation I'm getting is from the shoulder. The wrist can rotate, and it is hinged. He's got a break in his torso here. Can't really rotate around. It just sort of bounces back into place. Goes forward, kind of puff his chest out, and down about like so. You want him kind of in between. And the more he is down, the more you expose that sort of gap in his back, and that sucks, but just, you're not supposed to have it like that. And the torso, like I said, very squishy. There's not really any articulation here. And the legs. They can rotate. You cannot really go forward much. I mean, the littlest bit. It's really just the rotation doing that. They can go in and out, barely at all. Single jointed knee goes back about that far with rotation. And his ankle, forward and back. Tilt rock, no rotation, but you get that in the knee. So the articulation, it's not super articulated, but I think it's good enough for a figure of this size, even though I'm not feeling that part. I wish his arms were made of the same material as this, solid material versus this squishy sort of stuff. Here's a look at Clayface terrorizing the streets of Gotham City, taking on a regular sized Batman. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other Clayface figures. Here's the Mondo Batman the Animated Series Clayface, next to a couple of DC Direct Animated Series Clayface figures. The one from about 12 years ago on the left, and the McFarlane re-release on the right. And here, with some more Batman the Animated Series Clayface figures. These are all from Kenner. They made 3 different variants. And as it turns out, this is not the only 1/6 scale Clayface figure that I have. I believe these are the only 2 that any company has made. Mondo on the left, and on the right we have a Mattel Batman Unlimited Clayface. It was in, I think, a 2-pack or maybe a 3-pack with a couple other figures. And it is about the shittiest Clayface you could ever imagine. I mean, look at him. He's like a lava monster. It doesn't resemble Clayface in any way, shape, or form, but it is Clayface. So, these are both 12-inch scale, 1/6 Clayface figures. And although not a 1/6 scale Clayface, here he is next to the DC Direct Arkham City Clayface. This guy's enormous. I was really curious which one of these figures would be bigger, and it looks like they're about the exact same height. The Mondo one has overall bigger proportions. I'm really happy to have both these figures in my collection. They're very unique, awesome, deluxe Clayface figures. My shelf is already set up to hold the DC Direct version, so the Mondo one should fit just fine as well. Here's his Clayface, with my McFarlane DC Multiverse Clayface figures. One was a mega figure, and one came in a 3-pack. Pretty much the exact same thing. And here he is, with all my DC Direct Clayface figures. Then, with my Mattel Clayface figures. And now, with some older Kenner Clayface figures. Next, with a Fisher-Price Super Friends Clayface. And here he is, with an Imaginext Clayface. Then, with a Funko Pop Clayface. And now, with a couple of Spin Master Clayface figures. Allegedly, Spin Master is making a 1/6 scale Clayface in a 3-pack. Although, with them losing the license pretty soon, I hope it makes it out. Next, with a Mini-Mate Clayface. Here are a couple of figures that I have on my Clayface shelf and use for Clayfaces, but are not actual Clayface figures and they're not customs. On the left, we have a Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home Sandman, and on the right, a Trick or Treat Studios Goosebumps Mud Monster. And now, with some custom Clayface figures. And I have quite a few custom Clayface figures. Here he is with a custom Basil Carlo on the left. That is him in his human form. Way back in the day when he was just a regular person that put a clay mask on and murdered people. And of course we have the Mondo Matt Hagen. And then Clayface 3, Preston Payne. He wore this armored suit to protect people from himself because everybody he touched melted and burned. And then on the far right, Lady Clayface, Sandra Fuller, the 4th Clayface. I remember in the comics when these 4 got together in the Mudpack storyline, and then Basil Carlo took a piece of all their DNA, injected himself, and became like a super Clayface, and that's how he got his powers. Here he is with a couple of custom Clayface figures based off Marvel Legends Sandman figures. And here with a couple more custom Clayface figures based off some other Marvel Legends figures. Next, with a couple of crappy custom Clayface figures I got on eBay a long time ago. Here's a look at my entire Clayface collection from numerous different companies, sizes, and scales. I believe I have every single Clayface figure out there. If anyone is aware of any that I'm missing, drop me a line in the comments below. Here's this Mondo Clayface next to Mattel DC Universe Classics Mud Splattered Batman. And normally this would be what I would compare them with action figures from different various companies, but it's not really necessary. I don't collect 1/6 scale figures, so I don't really have anything in his scale to compare them to. And whether it's McFarlane, NECA, DC Direct, Mezco, Mattel, Mafex, or SH Figure Arts, they're all going to be super small and grossly out of scale next to him. And if you're like me, you wanted him to be a large, oversized Clayface, then that's awesome. And if you're a 1/6 scale collector, he's also going to be awesome for you. But if you're a 7-inch collector and you want Clayface to be the right size with them, it's probably not the figure for you. So this figure is fantastic. I know I was complaining about stuff and nitpicking the hell out of this guy. I understand why they made some of the decisions they did. I personally would have preferred a hard plastic body with normal type of articulation, but you know, the pros and cons of these things. It looks better without the articulation cuts, etc., etc. but just don't really like the way it feels. It looks fine. The mismatched color, it's just minuscule, me being really nitpicky. The accessories are just absolutely amazing, out of this world. His articulation, it is kind of on the limited side of things, but a big bulky figure like this, you don't really expect to be super articulated or it's going to look kind of weird. If I were to rate this figure, and it's a hard thing to say, I like Clayface a lot, so I kind of automatically like this figure. He looks amazing. Paint job, sculpt, great. Accessories are even better. Now, there are some things I don't like about him, but he's still freaking awesome. If I were to rate this guy, I'm going to give him a solid 8 out of 10. If he had some things done differently, would have been an easy 9 out of 10. It's a very nice figure, great attention to detail, great quality. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.